Can I start, ma'am?
Can I start now? Yes.
Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Hello everyone. A very good morning to one and all joining us for today's session. It's my honor and privilege to be presenting this with you all at the Keynotes of Impact 2021, which is organized by Inside Out at Switch India. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Purva Narkhere from DY Patil University of Physiotherapy, and I will be a moderator for today's session. And along with me is my companion for today, Miss Nidhi Rajesh Rao.
Hello, I'm Nidhi and I'm from BGS Global Institute of Medical Sciences. I'm a first year medical student.
Introducing Switch India. Switch India is a healthcare organization of around 2,500 plus medical professionals which are working tirelessly on numerous social activities, including conducting free camps and capacity building awareness campaigns throughout the pandemic. We have been collaborating with other NGOs also for those who need help, and at Inside Out, which is a mental health initiative organized, we introduce to you today's topic, impact. So, Nidhi.
So let me before I introduce today's topic, I would like to tell all the audience present watching us to turn on their videos and to interact as much as you can in the chat box. So, coming to today's topic, that is de-addiction of social media and its toxic effects. Social media addiction is a growing phenomenon, and not only in the United States but worldwide. An average person spends nearly 2 hours a day using social media, which amounts to nearly 5 years and 4 months of his or her life. In that time, a person could have done so many more things.
You all will be shocked to know, but for teens, social media time spent could amount up to 9 hours every day. And in that, about 31 billion people are social media users worldwide. Adding to which, 210 million people are social media users worldwide. Adding to which, so it is estimated that many suffer from internet and social media addictions. Nowadays, teens who spend around 5 hours a day on their phones are 2 times more likely to how much is too much.
So, concerning to the problems, can the viewers that are watching us on YouTube type down in the description box and let us know what is your average screen time? Okay, seeing no responses. Do we have everyone online? Can we have raise of hands or a thumbs up in the chat box?
I'm here.
Okay. So the flip side of this addiction is neck pain, eye strain, sleeplessness, self absorption, mental health problems, and guess what? Occasionally, even death. So, as of now, it only seems like we're just waking up into the damaging reality of a smartphone addiction. So, before we start with the host of today, would you like to comment anything in the chat box? Moving on to the introduction of our today's host. So now
Yes,
we
Tiger,
have with us
start with
Dr.
the
Payal
options.
Sharma, ma'am. Dr. Payal Sharma Kamath is a Mumbai-based psychiatrist and has experience of 7 years in this and associated fields. Dr. Payal believes that in utilizing a holistic approach to treatment
Can I
and is
continue,
committed
Nidhi?
to treating patients. Yeah,
Hello?
yeah, you can go ahead.
Nidhi, can I continue?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So now that we have listened to your views, for us today to help us advance through this ordeal situation, we have here with us Dr. Payal Sharma Kamath ma'am to help us enlighten with today's webinar. Dr. Payal Sharma ma'am is a Mumbai-based psychiatrist and has a experience of about 7 years in this and associated fields. Dr. Payal ma'am believes in utilizing a holistic approach to treatment and is committed to treating patients with a scientific yet realistic perspectives using technology and expertise and to effective outcomes. She is aware of the challenges of newspapers that misrepresent mental health and realities. Besides managing patients and psychiatric problems, she also takes special interest in looking into and managing child psychiatric conditions and counseling children and parents. She was also a part of shows on Vivid Bharati based around mental health awareness. So now, ma'am, we would like you to enlighten us with your knowledge. So I would like ma'am to take over the proceedings.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Thank you
please
so
take over.
much. Thank you. Yes, you've already introduced me. Still, I'll take a minute to introduce myself. So, I am Dr. Payal Shivagama. I am a psychiatrist and a counselor, a therapist, a child and a women's psychiatrist, and also working as a sexologist in Bombay. I passed out I did my MBBS from Jabalpur Medical College in 2011. I passed out, and since I was attached with Sion Hospital, I served as a lecturer for a year there. And since then, I'm into private practice. Since we are working in last 8 years in private practice, we see a lot of people, just not young kids, everybody, young kids and teenagers. Then we see adults. Then we also see grandpas also coming up and talking about the same problem. They all are talking about one common thing: is the excessive use of their phones. And basically, if we narrow it down to phone, it is just generally a social media. Either the relatives are complaining, or they themselves sometimes are fortunate enough and aware enough to realize that they are using their phone to the extent which is unhealthy. So what exactly is social media when we're talking about? And in this half an hour session, we are going to talk about what is social media, what exactly is social media addiction, how different it is from the internet addiction that we always, we have accepted as psychiatrists, as in the APA guidelines, we have accepted internet addiction, but how different is social media addiction from internet addiction. Then the pathophysiology, basically the reason behind why we have these addictions of social media so prevalent. What is the reason behind it? The harmful effects, whether it's a physical and the psychiatric harmful effects, and simple management techniques. So, social media, to start with, is any kind of website or a platform which is just designed for people to share their content, whether it is their photograph, it is their information, it is their current situation. So anything, it's a platform where you share out your things. So how commonly people are using social media? Everyone on this world, even it's a 2 years old toddler to a 95 years old man, everybody is using social media at this point of time. uh, it comes under a behavior addiction. So, what exactly is behavior addiction? Behavior addiction is any kind of action or a behavior but that is rewarding to a human, and it is non-drug related. Meaning, whenever we have spoken till now, it was generally drugs. It is generally alcohol or tobacco or uh, opioids. But now we are talking about something which is non-drug. This comes and which leads to a lot of financial, social, physical, and mental side effects. So, who is vulnerable to this addiction? We all are vulnerable. Mostly, according to the studies, we've seen that youngsters who are having social anxiety, who are shy, who are introvert, who have difficulty in communication, who have certain kind of dysfunctional family, who are going through some difficult times in academics, are very much prone to have to get involved in social media addiction. What exactly is the reason? What is the pathophysiology behind social media addiction? There is a brain involvement. The first and the foremost with any kind of illness that we see is the first is the biological reason. So there is a brain involvement. Whenever we do something that we enjoy, there is a pathway in our brain. Let's go to the basics. There is a pathway in the brain, which is called as reward system. So you see an ice cream, and it leads to activation of the circuit of the reward pathway, and dopamine is released, and you want to have it, you have it, and the further dopamine is released. So it leads to activation of dopamine level when you do something that you like. And the same thing happens with social media. Same reward system. So the moment you turn on your app and then you put something, you put it on your photo, you get one like or you get a nice comment. It increases the dopamine level in the brain, and it makes you feel happy. It makes you feel good. It gives you a euphoric sensation. Hence, you're looking for more likes. More likes, there is increase in dopamine level further. Now you want to continue this cycle. Even if you switch off your phone, the brain is asking for dopamine. So that I had a nice experience few minutes back when you checked on your phone and there was a like. I got dopamine that I wanted. Can you please check your phone again so that I can have the dopamine rush again? So you go back, you take up your phone and you check. You check for the likes, you check for your comments. If you get it, you want to continue this behavior because the brain requires the dopamine. If at all, once for all, it stops. The like stops, the comment stops. Then you're encouraged to put something new the next day. And hence the cycle of dopamine reward continues. Second, this dopamine leads to the motivation. As I said, no, next day I'm going to put a new photo. So that this system is continued because it enhances your motivation. It also attaches to memory system, hippocampus. So the moment there is a memory or there is a trigger that this is a similar kind of pose that I put, or I saw somebody else's like, and it triggers the memory system in your brain, and you're motivated to repeat this behavior. So first and the foremost is the reward pathway, which is involved in the social media addiction. Second comes the genetic reason. We are all born with certain kind of genetic makeup, which makes us prone to certain kind of addiction. So there is involvement of serotonin gene, which is associated with serotonin transporters. There is a lot of delta force. There is the delta force B gene, which has been associated in a lot of studies related to internet addictions and social media addiction. So there is genetic involvement. There is also psychological theories which is behind that why a person get addicted to social media addiction. So there was a very simple experiment which was done. which talks about our behavior, which talks about a learning behavior, that why a human continues to do something. So they kept a mouse into different cages, and they were free to roam around. And at some corner of that cage, there was a, a button which a mouse can press. So the moment they press that button, they get a food particle. So the moment they press it, they get a food particles. So this mouse continued to do it till the time he used to get food. The other mouse, no matter how much he continued to press that button, he used to not receive any kind of food particle. So he discontinued touching that button anymore, or going around that button, or to play with that button anymore. But the first mouse continued. After the first half of the experiment, they stopped giving him the food particle even after pressing the button. But the mouse continued to press it with the expectation, with the hope that the food particle will arrive endlessly. So there was the same happens with our behavior. So initially, when you get the likes and the comments and you continue to do it, you enjoy doing it. And even after the appreciation, any kind of behavior that is expected discontinues, still human continue to do this behavior with the wish and the hope that the reward will come back to me. And hence, even after there is reduced interaction with audience, we continue to show certain behavior on social media with the hope that sometimes the reward will come back to us. So this is a psychological theory which talks about a human behavior very much related to addiction. When we talk about the concept of addiction in terms of social media, the most important thing is the salience, which talks about the domination of people's life by the activity. So, if how much is the importance of my phone, how much is the importance of Facebook and Instagram in my life? If I don't put a photo, how does it make me feel? The second most important thing is the high that I get after the activity, euphoria that I get after the activity. The moment I put the photo, I feel happy, I feel cheerful. I feel that this is the way, if I go to the restaurant and I don't put a photo, it's not finished till I actually put a photo. So it gives you the kick and the high after involving in the activity. And the third and the most important thing is tolerance. So to continue to get this high for a longer time, you continue this behavior. But now this behavior requires more time to get the similar kind of high. So you get tolerant towards the behavior. Withdrawal symptoms. So if the phone is taken away from you, you get irritated, you feel snappy, you shout at people, you get upset, you cry, you feel sad. There are withdrawal symptoms. There are interpersonal issues, meaning your family gets upset because you're always on phone. Your partners get upset because you're always on phone, and leads to a lot of academic related problems because you cannot study because you're always the moment you open your chapter and the notification pops in and you want to check your phone. Then comes the relapse. Even if how much you try that I should not use my phone, but after some time, again there is a feeling, a behavior which leads to continuous of the use. There is a lot of times we see irritation. We see that a person feels extremely connected with this behavior and wish to continue to check their phone all the time. So this is a feature of how a social media addiction will look like in a real life. How similar it is to non-drug addiction. So how common it is with a drug addiction and a non-drug addiction, like social media addiction. What is the similarity between two? The most important thing is the phenomenology. Phenomenology means the natural history of the illness. It starts in a similar fashion. Our behavior is the same. Our preoccupation is the same. Our conflicts become the same. Our withdrawal symptoms, tolerance, interpersonal issue becomes the same. And hence, there are a lot of time There are changes in the brain, neuroplastic changes that happens even in the social media addiction is as similar as any kind of drug addiction. The chemicals which are involved, like dopamine and the serotonin, as I explained you, is the same. Neurobiologically, the same kind of pathways are activated, which I said, the dopamine pathway and the serotonin pathway and the reward system, they all are same. So this is how we need to understand that it's not a small problem. It's a evolving problem, and it's the initial phase that we all need to be trained as a medical health professional to identify this addiction in ourselves and to help even people, the patients and the family members, whoever are going to ask you, because you're into a medical field, they're going to start asking you for the advices. My child has it, he's using a lot of phone. Is it how to treat them and how to help them? So you all need to be trained for that. Till now, as a psychiatrist, we since because we don't have so much of data about in social media addiction, we are still diagnosing all the patients with impulsive disorder or obsessive compulsive disorder, or still in a very initial stage internet addiction disorder, but nothing as such as like social media addiction. It's still evolving in our studies, in our daily practice. As you rightly said that stats around the world is identifying that, where there was a huge study which was done in USA, and they said that 90% of people have one or the other form of social media addiction. 90% is a huge count. And when they say one or the other form of social media addiction, so we know there are many platforms there. What are the different platforms? I'm sure that the audience know much more than what I know at my age. There is Facebook, there's Instagram, there is Snapchat, there is Twitter, LinkedIn, then there is Clubhouse, then there are so many games, then there is uh, Pinterest, I think. So there are so many other different platforms where people are exchanging. So it says that one or the other form of social media addiction is found in 90% of Americans, which is a huge number. Still, there is a lot of controversies among the psychiatrists. There are a lot of people who say that it's a behavior. Calling them it's an addiction is a very loose term. It's too early to count somebody as addiction. It's a part of life. It's a way of life. Like we also see a lot of psychiatrists, saying that, who are very senior psychiatrists, they say, we used to play a lot and we used to be always outside the house because the television was one and there was no phone. So playing sports was our addiction. So now in the current generation, there are people, who are always on phone. So it is a way of life. You can't call it as addiction. Whereas the other school of thought also is very seriously considering social media addiction and saying that, there is, when you play, there was some kind of positive aspect associated with playing a sport. But whereas in terms of social media, there are more health hazards, and hence it has to be taken seriously. There are a lot of behavioral changes that we're seeing that we used to not see previously in the previous generation. Hence, it is an illness. So, still, where this lies, there is a lot of dilemma about the stand of social media. So, as I said, that who is vulnerable? Why we see young teenagers or younger adults are more vulnerable because of the cognitive development. As you know that the brain is still developing. There are the frontal cortex is still developing. So the frontal cortex takes some time to develop that kind of conscious control on a person's behavior. And a young adult and adolescents have poor cognition as compared to the adult because of such changes. The emotional centers are more overactive, hence, most of the decisions are emotions driven. There are a lot of behavioral, we see emotional outburst, anger, crying, sometimes being very sensitive. And hence, these behavioral aspects make them more prone to have some certain kind of addictive behavior. When we see about the comorbidity, we are seeing with social media addiction, there is a lot of accompanying depression, anxiety, other addiction like gambling, like substance, like chemical drugs. Addiction has been high. We see ADHD very in a lot of patients with social media addiction, because every few seconds, every milliseconds, there is a new image which is getting popped up on the screen, and hence it grabs the attention of a patient of ADHD. So there is very high chances of having attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. We also see behavior problems, anger issues in these patients. We see panic attack, social anxiety is high, because these kids find themselves very difficult to interact with people because of their assumptions about other people around them, that they're thinking something wrong about me, they're critical and judgmental towards me. Hence, the social interaction is lesser, and they find that it was a very comfortable environment, a comfortable world in the virtual world, and it's easier for them to interact with people, and so their involvement is more. And even if you continue to have be involved more with social media addiction, we see that it leads to social anxiety, because now they're completely cut off from the real world interactions. So the moment they see someone, they feel as if they will make some mistake, they fumble, they say something which is wrong, or they make certain kind of faces or certain kind of gestures or remarks which are inappropriate, and hence it leads to a lot of anxiety. So when I say that these are the comorbidities that we commonly see in our in the patients whom we see that addiction is social media addiction is high, but what exactly compromises of how much is too much is still not very sure. What is the diagnostic criteria of 8 hours, 9 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours is still not sure. What exactly is sure yet is that if you have become dysfunctional in life, what I mean is in dysfunctional is that if you are lagging in your academics, if you're not able to fulfill your responsibilities and obligations, and it is being told a multiple number of times that you're spending a lot of times on social media despite of the fact that the important things are left behind, and still you continue to use it, and you try to stop using it because you know it's affecting you somewhere, but this commitment does not last for long. You go after few hours, again you're on social media, but you can't resist the impulses to check social media. And if there is a relief after checking back again, it means that somewhere your brain is being dominated by this behavior addiction, and hence you continue this. So, how different is social media from internet addiction? So, when we say internet addiction, is basically an umbrella term, which does not talk about social media. It also talks about shopping, gambling. It also talks about cyber pornography. It also talks about the normal compulsion of checking on the internet about information. Google, basically, you're Googling about everything and anything, or too much of information. So, social media addiction is a type of internet addiction. So, internet addiction is still, as I said, it's a term which has been accepted, and it's under the research in DSM-5. The topics which are under the research, in few years it will come under the main textbook of DSM-5, and hence we'll be able to easily diagnose people. Social media addiction is still a very new term for all of us. There was a recent study, since because it's very new to us, so there was a study which was done in 2021, published in 2021, which says 37% of Indians have fulfilled the criteria of social media addiction, and they have the criteria between moderate to severe addiction, which is a huge number. What motivates you to continue to use is our brain changes, also the behavior uh, requirements which are fulfilled till when you are on social media. We also need to understand there is always certain factors which affect why a certain people are more prone to get addicted. Either when they have very poor self control or very poor impulse control, or if they are socially isolated, if they have lower self confidence, these people are tend to have more in getting involved with any kind of social media addiction. There are many external factors, like, for example, dysfunctional family, stress in the academics can lead to this. Gender, we've seen males tend to be more addicted towards the pornography or gambling or gaming. Whereas when we say about social media addiction, which is the platforms for you know, sharing the content, it's more in females. So girls are tend to be more addicted to social media as compared to males. So there is a gender difference. What can be basically, what are the harmful effects looking into it? As you already, the moderator themselves introduced a lot of physical aspect of, there is tiredness, there is neck ache, there is constant digit pain. We see people having pains in the digits, pain in the wrist because continuous holding a phone like this, continuous watching like this. We are seeing more migraine attacks in the recent few months since the lockdown has happened. It has just got worse for everyone. We see a lot of depression, anxiety, social anxiety. There is also a lot of alienation from the peers and family. There is also sometimes unhealthy relationship, getting involved with unsafe, unprotected sexual relationship because they were introduced to social media and they were young, so it get into the loop of such behavior where you get into a relationship, uh, and it continued because of the addictive behavior. So it starts affecting your life. We also see a lot of people complaining that they're very less satisfied with their life. They are, is there any kind of disturbances? Yeah. Going ahead with the treatment of addiction. So what exactly can you and me do it at our own place without seeking help from a doctor? Is first and foremost is to limit the use. There is a school of thought which also says that there should not be limitation, there should be complete abstinence, meaning you should just, like how with any drugs, you go to the inpatient department, get yourself admitted, detox yourself, take this substance out, drug out of the system, take the necessary medications, nutrients, and you once you detox, you go into the maintenance phase. They say that there are centers which are made in China, which is an IPD centers for similar kind, like a military boot camps. So they have made these kind of IPD for people who are addicted to internet. So there is no phone. You get admitted, detox yourself. Stay there, get involved with all the kind of counseling, cognitive behavior therapy, and you come out of it. Uh, this so it has gone to that level. The second thing says that it is very difficult. Like wherever we go, now this has become your body part. This is your body part. So wherever you're going, you're just not going with your body. You're basically going with your phone everywhere. So this is one of the body parts. So taking away the body part from you is going to be difficult. So hence it says that you cannot go for total abstinence. You have to limit the use. How you can limit the use? There are two ways. One is replacing the activity. When you don't use any kind of social media, there is going to be a vacuum. There is going to be time when you used to involve with social media, and if you'll not replace that time with something else, you'll always remember about social media. So the time is whenever you're having dinner, and you always check your phone, and you suddenly stop doing it because it's now going way beyond your control, so you stop doing it. But if you're eating and if you're not replacing that activity with something else, you will definitely go back and check your phone. So replacement of that activity is necessary. Second thing is, the most important thing is to increasing the functionality, meaning you need to go back and improve the social relationship. It's important to socialize with people in real world. It's important to have the lifestyle changes that is required. Exercising, going out of the house regularly, get yourself sunlight regularly. Also, you need to sleep. It's important to sleep properly. It is also important to sleep for 7-8 hours every day. When we're seeing about the limitation, there are many apps again to kill in one app, one kind of addiction. You go ahead and use the technology to kill that kind of addiction. So technology has provided you with a lot of apps where you can put the limits. You can put a password, and suddenly, and at particular time, your phone will switch off, and it will be restarting on the next day. I'm not a technical person, but I have seen a lot of my clients giving me all of these ideas that they have tried all of these apps, and it has really helped them. So I think people should go ahead and check these regularly. You can also keep a lot of reminder cards everywhere. You can, like, on the fridge, on in the kitchen, in your study room, on your study table. You keep a reminder that keep your phone away from yourself when you're studying. So the moment you sit on the table and you read it, you realize, oh, I'm with my phone again, so I'm supposed to keep it outside. So these reminder cards, small reminder cards, really triggers our emotions and helps us to limit the phone use. Also, it is important where communicating ourselves and communicating with the family members with the struggles that we are having, eh, so that there are our primary support system, so they can help us in the need when we feel that, we are feeling like checking my phone again. So talking to them will at least delay that craving, and hence you can prevent yourself from the relapse. It's also necessary to get yourself involved with a cognitive behavior therapy or counseling if it is something that you feel that it's under not under control. It means that you need to go and seek help from a psychiatrist or a psychologist, any mental health professional. Because as I told you, there is always something which is leading to social media addiction. So it can be depression, anxiety, social anxiety, ADHD. Till you don't treat the core root cause of it, it's going to be continuous cycles of relapses and abstinence and relapses. So hence treating the root cause is necessary. And even if there is under comorbid depression, anxiety, this has to be addressed, and the counseling has to be started on a regular basis. And I feel that we all should use these measures to come out of social media addiction. It's important to be aware of it. It's important to take help when it is necessary. There are medications also which has been prescribed, which has really helped a lot of patients, because as I said, that there are a lot of time comorbidities. So when we treat the comorbidities, a patient is able to restrict the use of social media. This is a brief presentation from my side. I wish to have more questions from your side, because it's a complete new topic. I'm sure that you will have more, your own experiences where I can help you. So if I can help the moderator who can
Yeah.
connect you with.
So yes, ma'am. We have received a few questions during our registrations, and shall I put them across one by one so that you can answer those questions for us?
Please, yes.
Okay. So we have a few questions. The very first question says, "What drives to social media addiction when more compared to the drug addiction?
See,
Why
one
is it so common?"
because it's easily available. See, drugs. There is, see, as I told you, it's like an organ. It's a body part. Now you're moving with your phone wherever you're going, so it's easily available. Even before you get your own vehicle, you get into college, you have phone with you. So now
Yeah.
everybody is getting their phone even at seventh standard, because especially in the big cities, their parents are giving them way too early. So
Yes.
the easy availability, accessibility, and the privacy which is involved. So, and because you're always on your phone, and you can have a password, you can keep it to your room, nobody will be able to know it, you can hide it under the pillow. So these are the reasons that it is more often than drug addiction. Second is, there's still because there is a lot of awareness about drugs. There is a lot of talk and research which is done about drugs. So we know that even a minute amount of drugs can have hazard effect, and then you are watchful of those things. Here in social media addiction, it's still, I said, it's a baby. It's still a baby where we don't have so much of knowledge about it, and we're still struggling. Still, we are not able to uh, come up with the actual plans and the treatment. Hence, it is something where we feel we're not able to stop it at the right time. Third is the most important thing is the whole family is using. So
Yes.
nobody can stop you. So when your
Yes.
papa is telling you, beta, it's too much on Instagram, you're basically seeing him playing Candy Crush all the time. So when he said, Papa, you're also using it all the time. Then he says, I am mature enough to decide. And this argument just keeps on going. Most of the time I see these arguments. So when the child says, when the husband says, but to his wife that you are, why the child is watching so much of YouTube and why is always on watching something. So the child calls his mother and says, Mama, let's see it together. So we see a lot of clients where, because the whole family is involved in this, we really don't know that who is the enabler, who is the patient, and who is
Yes.
basically enhancing this behavior more. So hence it's more prevalent because it's easy and accessible and we really don't know. And it's just, it's like a virus. You can't see, but it's always there.
True, very true. So the another thing we have received is uh, well, there was this there's a brief situation kind of thing. So it says I was one of the viewers says that I was very addicted to Instagram a few months back, so much that I used to spend hours scrolling through memes and binge watching reels. I am preparing for an important exam, and instead of studying, I used to religiously waste my time on Instagram. And no matter how many times I deactivated my account, I ended up logging in again and again within a few days. So here's what I did. Last month, I asked my friend to change my password. I asked her because she's the only one I trust. And I asked her not to give me the password before April, and this worked for some time. But once I got to know my password, I'm back onto it. What should I do now?
Yes, this is a classic case of social media addiction. So you know it's unhealthy, and still you continue to do it. And when you do it, it gives you the relief and the emotion that you're looking forward to it. You're resisting the impulse, but you continue to do it. There are times when there's an abstinence, and then there is a relapse. A classic case of in Instagram addiction or slash social media
Yeah.
addiction. So when we're talking about social media addiction, we need to understand that first and the foremost thing is being aware of it. When you are aware of the fact that you're now at the verge of addiction, you are not controlling your phone is controlling you basically. So it means that first and the foremost thing is acceptance. Ki now I'm an addict. When I accept the fact that I'm an addict, it's easier for me to work on it because I know that now it's a disorder. It's an illness. It's to the point that I will need somebody else's help. So, second and the most important thing is that find a reason why you want to come out of it. Any kind of addiction or behavior cannot be cured the till you find a reason why you need to stop. A heartfelt reason, your own personal reason. If you find that this exam is the most important thing in your life, and if you don't do it and if you don't succeed in this exam, how your life path is going to be, how the future is going to be, think about it. It's going to be very scary, but think about it. If you don't find a reason, till the time you don't find a reason which is heartfelt, it's very difficult to come out. This reason is basically help you to be motivated to quit. Third thing is take some breaks. So very logical is, and I understand that it's an entertainment for you, it's a recreational activity for you. So when you study, those 45 minutes, try and keep your phone somewhere else. And after that 45 minutes of studies, 15 minutes of Instagram. Enjoy the 15 minutes. Again, keep alarm after 15 minutes, keep your phone again outside in the hall, study in your room for good 45 minutes. Again, take a break and go ahead and then check it. So these kind of planned activities can also help you to understand that you are focusing also, and at the same time you're using it also when it is in a limited amount where it does not divert from your goal.
Yes, yes.
And also, it is necessary if there's any kind of underlying problem, like if there is social anxiety or there are kind of relationship issues, or there is always a reason why a person is on Instagram, even by scrolling. So, what are you searching for? So,
Yeah.
counseling again is a necessary thing. Psychological assessment of understanding, find the reason. If there is any kind of comorbidity, we can definitely help you. Uh, yeah, relapses is a reality. Relapses meaning you wish to quit it, and again you go ahead and you start checking it. You learn from these relapses that what went wrong and why in the first place I started checking it. You learn from the mistakes and try and not repeat the same one. There's going to be another mistake, there's going to be another reason when you'll go back and then check your phone. But the same mistake should not be repeated. So these are the things that we all can do continuously to keep ourselves away from this addiction. I hope I was able to give you few suggestions and continue this behavior. Learn from all the other last time what was the reason that you slipped into Instagram addiction again, why you actually opened it, what really triggered it. It was loneliness, it was depression, it was stress. Work on that trigger rather than finding that reasons and answer within the addiction, but work on that trigger. So once you know that this trigger is not there anymore, you will not resort for checking your phone again. So make the list of the triggers. I hope that will help you.
Yeah, that's a great thing that even I think I'm going to use it myself. Then there's one more saying, how would you identify your social media addiction? Like, with in the sense, like, I don't know if I'm addicted or not. How will I get to know?
Like I said, still there is no scale and there's no for social media addiction. We don't have a diagnostic criteria as such. But understand few things, and I give you the pointers. The first and the foremost thing is, if there is a lot of desire, and you can't control this desire. So when I want to check my phone, and I feel like it's okay, you can do it after 5 minutes. Then it's not addiction. But no, I have to check my phone. I have to check my phone. And once you open your phone and you check it, you feel, hush, this is what I wanted. Third is that this continuous checking of phone is increasing day by day. Like it was an hour, it was now 3 hours, now it is 8 hours, now it is 10 hours, which is increasing day by day. And the most fourth and the most important thing is if it's leading to any kind of conflict. If people are telling you that you're always on your phone, constantly checking your phone, why are you posting so many pictures all the time? So if people are complaining, it means that you are not able to notice what they're able to notice. And the
Yeah.
fifth and the most important thing is if it somehow it is affecting your functionality in the sense that you're not able to study, if you're not able to sleep, if you're not able to work. So if there is everything else is lagging and only this is going on, which means you are in the pace of getting addicted to it, or you're already addicted to social media.
So the desire is the most important thing here.
Desire and the disturbance in our life. So if
Yeah.
you're not, you know that your exam is there and you're still not studying and you're still scrolling, which means that it is an addiction now.
Yeah. So another one is, um, will there be can there be a possibility for rehabilitation of social media addiction? Like there is rehabilitation for drug addiction. Is there a possibility for rehabilitation of social media addiction?
Yes, yes, we have started. It's we don't give the diagnosis in the file of the patient, but we've seen so many kids being admitted for that because not just because of the social media addiction, but because of their behavior problems. The moment the parents are taking phone from them, they have become violent. They are hitting their parents. They are threatening them that we'll kill you, and they come up with a knife and shout and yell. And hence, because of this behavior problems, we've admitted the patients, and so we're trying to treat their behavior, of course. And we're basically getting them admitted because of the behavior problems. But the core reason is the addiction towards their phone and the whether it's
Yeah.
game or social media. So they are IPD treatments, rehabilitation. One of my senior psychiatrists also takes away the phone of the client and tell them 1 month ke baad when you come in the follow up, take your phone away. So he has a table with a big, where there are so many phones of
Boxes
all the
of
other
phones.
models. And the moment parents complain that he's always on phone, and he just takes it and put it in that and tell them, you next follow up 30 days later, we meet and then you can collect your phone. So it's that kind of abstinence is necessary sometimes. And I am
Yes.
sure that rehabs and are taking patients. Yes.
That's this is a new advent of rehabilitation. Okay, I think we have one last question which says, how can we use social media in a good way? in high like hyper competitive workplaces. It is extremely essential. They have to be on social media for almost 24/7. But how can we use it to the betterment?
See, as I told you, as we discussed that in this, the most important thing is your reason. Whenever you're on social media, ask why are you using it? What is the purpose? So anything and everything that we're doing in our life should always have a reason why we're doing it. And it should be a reason which you feel is valid, which you feel is important, which says that, like for example, I am on Instagram, and the reason that I'm on Instagram is because I feel that I want to talk more about mental health. So I want to put some videos about mental health. I want to put content on media on mental health because it helps a lot of people. Because this social media, whereas my voice cannot reach out of my room, and but when I talk it on social media, it reaches at so it can go to ears and brains of so many people who are unaware about mental health. So the similar thing is important that before starting this, I ask myself that why I'm doing it. If
Yes.
the purpose is to grow to grow in terms of your professional boundaries, if it ends of you want to help someone, if it is the purpose of getting more information and more knowledge, I think that you have a valid reason to continue to do it.
Yes.
If the reason is entertainment, again I say it's a valid reason. But for how long do you want to entertain yourself? It can't be 12 hours.
Yeah.
Entertainment for 2 hours or 1 hour. So you need to find first the reason why you're doing it, and then with the reason you give it a valid amount of hours assigned to it. And this is the way where you can limit your use in a very competitive world. Yes, it is important to be on social media because it's required right now, and it is important. It helps you to grow professionally. So then you continue to use it, but hours has to be assigned to it. I'll put this much content every day, but nothing more than that. I will work half an hour or 45 minutes on this growth because it is necessary, but this is just not the only growth. See, a lot of people are working as influencers, and that's their
Yes.
profession. So for them, because it's a profession, it's important for them to be there on work for 10 hours or 12 hours. But people like us who have other profession and they are using it for an extra advantage. So then you have to decide. We all have 24 hours, so you have to decide and assign hours as per it. So I think if you are very well psychoeducated about why you're using it and how to limit it, how much is good for you, how much is going to be functional for you, then I think it's different for everyone. Keep on trying different ways, different make new plans, keep on making amends in these plans. I'm sure that in few months or say you will be able to make a complete set format which is comfortable and best for you.
So basically make a routine out of it.
You have to basically try. Meaning, if I give an hour every time, is it helping me? If I increase it to 2 hours, is I making more? It's giving me better results. So you have to keep on trying. So accommodating your studies along with the other extracurricular activity and the entertainments, you basically have to keep this plan and shuffling, makes an amends every time because now the current generation and the current requirement is basically it's social media. Everything is on internet, so you have to be here, but it does not mean you have to be here, does not mean you'll always have to be here. There's always
Yes.
other things that are also is necessary.
Yes. So we have just received a question from in the chat box right now. It's from Pramod Palekar. He's asking, is there any age-wise guideline for controlling the digital platform exposure?
See, till now, it was said that till 3 years of the age, there should be no mobile phones. Meaning oops, there should not be any exposure to social media. There should be no exposure to social media, basically. And as you grow older, it can be half an hour in a day to till 10 years of age, half an hour to 1 hour in a day. And then from 10 years to 18 years, it can be 2 to 3 hours in a day. And beyond 18 years, it's all ram bharose. You are an adult, you have to decide yourself. Nobody can stop you. So age-wise limitation is there, but beyond after 18, you can't control anyone. It's a it's a learned decision that we all need to take about our life. We can't control, but we can take decisions about ourselves.
Yes.
You can educate
Yes.
someone, you can advise them, but you can't control them.
True. Um, there's one more saying: is it extremely similar to having cancer or a cigarette pack every day?
I'm
Is
sorry.
it is it comparable to having cancer or like having a cigarette pack every day, like cigarette smoking addiction?
It's basically worse. I'll say it's basically worse. The reason being, you still don't have a control of it. So when you're going and buying a cigarette, and everybody around you knows that you're doing that, um, there is somebody obviously going to be there who's going to tell you, "Ki, this is not right." You know that you're doing it extra. You will definitely see your symptoms quickly when you are continuously to smoke a cigarette. Cancer is not a comparison. I'm not sure that if it's a comparison that I can make. It's worse because it's always with you. There is you don't see any side effect immediately. You don't. There is nobody who can tell you the physical hazards of using social media addiction continuously. Um, this I think it's worse. It's going to be a very soon. It's going to be like a pandemic of social media addiction.
Okay, that's all for the questions we have as of now. And there has been quite a lot of discussion about the viewers have found a lot of clarity in the uh, proceedings with your talk, ma'am. So I'd like to just highlight on the keynotes and proceed further. So So, I'd like to put a highlight on today's keynotes and summarize what we have learned in today's session. Social media is increasingly omnipresent today, but this doesn't mean you'll automatically develop an addiction to it. By taking frequent breaks and setting clear boundaries for yourself and your children, you can help prevent an over reliance on social media before it becomes harmful. If you do suspect you have social media addiction, there are ways you can treat to increase your overall well-being. Don't hesitate to reach out to a mental health professional like ma'am or others for help with this type of addiction. So thank you ma'am for enlightening us, and I would like to now deliver the vote of thanks. Unfortunately, ma'am will this is the time that has been allotted, and ma'am will be giving us her feedback shortly. Though there have been plenty of questions by participants, we would not be able to complete. We have completed quite a lot, but I think we have missed out on two or three. But that's fine. We are running on a time constraint, so we are truly thankful for your precious time and for sharing your knowledge with our audience today. I would like to use this opportunity to extend my heartfelt thanks to Speak India, Inside Out, and the Impact OC for all their efforts that made today's event possible. And a special thanks to all the audience present today watching us live on YouTube. So before I sign off, I would like to tell our viewers to fill in the feedback form that is given out in the chat box in the comments below, so that you can receive your delegation certificates. And so that's all from us today. So signing off, I'm Nidhi and my co-partner Purva. Uh, stay safe, stay healthy. Anything you would like to add, ma'am?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today. And it was a really nice discussion. And it was, I think, it's the best Sunday that I had, and healthy discussion talking about mental health that I really like. I hope to continue to have this kind. If you have any other opportunity, I'll be happy to be a part of it. And thanks for
Definitely.
inviting me. Thanks for
Okay.
inviting me.
Before we leave, I think we'll just have a photograph.
Sure, sure,
Uh,
sure.